So it's been a couple of days since the new paperwork dropped that absolutely cooked Pooh Shiesty. We seen the footage of him robbing Gucci Mane at gunpoint, and we seen his daddy standing right next to them holding the contract, and the feds are talking about they got his contract in his Gmail account, and they got him at the Staples getting the contract printed a couple hours before the hit. It's ridiculous tomfoolery. But here's the new info that's come out that everybody is now talking about. The feds have apparently released the full contract. I'm going to break it down to you in this video, but it is diabolical, okay? These guys must have been on ChatGPT getting their contract stuff done, okay? So this is just a summary, but I'm going to get into the full paperwork in a minute. But this is apparently how the contract went down, okay? And it's a contract that nobody would want to sign, right? Unless you had a Draco stuck to your head. So this is the state of the situation that they're doing. It says, the contract that Pooh Shiesty allegedly tried to have Gucci Mane sign, it stated 1017 will have no ownership and receive no royalty payments from any of Shiesty's music, including previously released music. Wouldn't happen. Why would you sign that? If 1017 decided to sue Shiesty, Gucci will have to pay all of the legal fees. Why? Why would you sign up to that? Unless you've got Draco to the back of your head. Pooh Shiesty will not have to get Atlantic's approval for anything. And Shiesty will not only get his masters back, but also the rights to all lyrics, videos, brandings, copyright, logos, and artworks. At least make it believable, guys. All right, this is so dumb. So I got the full paperwork here, and I think I actually want to have a little read through it, because I want to get to the nuance of why this was such a dumb thing to go and do. So I'm going to break it down for you, and we're going to read the whole thing. So this is the contract, right? January the 9th, 2026. So I guess it was dated the day before the robbery actually went down. I guess Pooh Shiesty Sr., you know, got on his ChatGPT, planned it the day before, printed it on the day of, 2 hours before, Gmailed it to himself, just left an absolute paper trail. I mean, talk about paper trail. This is paper. You printed a bunch of paper. This is the literal definition of a paper trail. You're literally at Staples printing the illegal contract. It's insane. So, it says reference is hereby made to the agreement between 1017 Global Music LLC, the company, and Lontrell Williams, performer known as Pooh Shiesty, dated April 1st, 2020. The agreement. The following, when signed by artist and by company, collectively known as the parties, will constitute a full termination and release of the agreement by the parties. So, they're basically saying that the agreement that you guys signed 6 years ago on April 1st, 2020, right? The whole thing will be fully terminated and you'll be released in every way. Except as otherwise provided herein, the terms used in this agreement shall have the same meanings and definitions as ascribed to them in the agreement. For good and valuable consideration, the receipt and sufficiency of which is hereby acknowledged, and notwithstanding anything to the contrary expressed or implied in the agreement, the following shall constitute a valid and binding agreement between the parties with respect to the subject matter hereof. The binding terms, effective as of January the 9th, 2026, the effective date. The parties agree as follows. So the language already used in this is a little bit dense. I'm not going to lie, it's a bit ChatGPT to me, all right? I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in this contract we read, you know, no agreements, no consideration, just good, honest contracts. That's the type of shit ChatGPT be writing. The agreement is hereby agreed. The agreement is hereby agreed to be of no force or effect without limiting the generality of the foregoing is deemed to be void ab initio. This shit ain't making no sense. I'm not a lawyer, but at the same time, this ain't a contract that a real lawyer wrote up, in my opinion. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary, set forth in the agreement, the term of the agreement is hereby terminated as of the date hereof, in lieu of any other date set forth in the agreement. Company hereby forever releases and discharges artists from any and all claims, demands, actions, causes, demands, actions, causes of action, suits, sums of money, accounts, covenants, agreements, including any and all prior subsequent agreements and amendments to the agreement, contracts and promises of law or in equity, which company now... Is this all one long sentence? I haven't seen a period in a minute. Which company now has, will have, or at any time may have had against artist or successors and assigns, whether known or unknown to company by reason of any matter, cause, or thing whatsoever. Anything whatsoever. Don't worry about, you know, the law, the actual law on statute that will supersede anything. I could write in a contract that I can kill you and you waive your right to sue me in a court. That's no the law of murder. No, you did a murder. You can't write nothing. No signature on a bit of paper means you can do murder. How about I sign a contract that says I'm the president of the whole world? Well, I got a contract. What do you mean? What do you mean that there's laws all around the world that dictate that can't happen? I got it signed on a contract. This is absolute nonsense. I still ain't seen a period, all right, whatsoever from the beginning of the world. Pooh Shiesty's dad is so fucking dumb. This is so dumb. If this isn't ChatGPT, I don't think he knows any of these words. Whatsoever from the by reason of any matter, cause, or thing whatsoever from the beginning of the world to the date hereof, including without limitation any and all obligations to make or release any recordings, or to make any payments to company or to any party deriving any rights from company, including without limitation, no limit. That's bad boy. No limit. No limit soldiers, man. All right. Any individual producer or musician engaged in connection with the production of any albums by company under the agreement. Is that the first period I've seen? This is all one sentence. And they're talking about anything whatsoever from the beginning of the world. Nothing could ever happen. No law, no presidential pardon. It's a nonsense agreement. The fact that they thought this was going to hold up just shows how stupid these people are. Pooh Shiesty, his whole family, they're Chopper Gang's cool. You guys definitely know your way around a chopper, but like, y'all don't like just. You should have consulted with a lawyer. I'm not claiming that I could have written a better contract than this, but I wouldn't try. I definitely wouldn't try and put this through. That's one sentence. Company acknowledges that artist will have no obligation to company for any reason upon the execution of this termination release. So this is void, right? Set aside the fact that you are already doing this under duress and it's illegal. Like, you can't... This just doesn't happen. This just cannot happen. It does not supersede law. From the beginning of the world is insane. Artist hereby forever releases and discharges company from any and all obligations under the agreement, other than those that expressly survive the termination of such agreement. So, other than those that expressly survive, how do they survive? I thought this was for everything to the end of the world. However, for purposes of clarification, nothing contained in this agreement shall affect company's obligation to account to artists for royalties or artists' right to conduct audits of company books and records in accordance with the agreement, or except as specifically released herein the artists' obligations and company's rights as provided for in the agreement. So they're severing this agreement, and nothing whatsoever from the beginning of the world, without limitation, no limit at all. You must release me, but, all right, but nothing can stop you from having us audit you for royalties. We're allowed to conduct complete audits of the company books and records in accordance with the agreement that we've just trashed and thrown in the bin at gunpoint. This is lunacy, all right? When you actually look at the contract, this guy's a lunatic thinking that he could get away with this. This is not a real this is like a fugazi fake bullshit contract that no one would ever make, sign, or even think to put across the desk from a genuine executive. Effective immediately upon the effective date, all right, title, and interest in and to any and all intellectual property created, authored, composed, recorded, written, produced, developed, or otherwise created by artists, whether alone or jointly with others. So now we're involving other people that aren't even in here, including without limitation all musical recordings, lyrics, sound recordings, master recordings, audiovisual work, artwork, logos, branding, associated copyrights, neighboring rights, collectively known as the artist IP, shall be owned solely and exclusively by the artist, free and clear of any claims, liens, security interests, or encumbrances by the company. But we can still audit your books forever. Since the beginning of Earth, we can audit your books, but we get everything back, and you got no claim. To the extent that the company has ever acquired, claimed, administered license or held ownership interest in the artist IP or any portion thereof, through this agreement or otherwise, company hereby irrevocably assigns and transfers to artists all such title right interest, including copyrights and renewals, extensions, and all rights of termination, reversion, or recapture, effective as of the effective date. So they're saying we're getting back absolutely everything, all right? And to the extent the company has ever acquired, attained, held any ownership, revoking all of that. all of it, and you can't recapture it. It says the company shall execute and deliver any documents reasonably requested by the artist to confirm or effectuate such assignment and ownership. So the original contract we've got is null and void, all right? Nothing that's happened since the beginning of Earth can change this, but we have the rights to audit your books, and also you have to give us any documents, and you shall execute and deliver any documents requested by the artist to confirm or effectuate. So they're basically saying, we've stuck you up at gunpoint with a Draco, and you've signed this contract, and now when we contact you and we ask you, you need to sign the paperwork, you need to reassign the ownership of these songs, you need to move these songs, the IP, out of this label, which is a big corporation. You dealing with Atlantic Records, if you're dealing with big dogs, you have to basically do it. So this is basically saying you work for us forever, Gucci. Anytime we hit you up and says you need to transfer the rights, transfer royalties, transfer ownership, you need to send us all of the PNGs of all the Chopper Gang logos and all of the album art. He's got to do he's working for free forever to the end of Earth. He didn't say end of Earth, but since the beginning of Earth. The company acknowledges and agrees that as of the effective date, any artist IP that may have been categorized as work made for hire or otherwise owned, controlled by the company shall be deemed fully reverted to the artist, and the company waives any claim that the artist's IP constitutes a work made for hire company. You waive in the right, and anything that you thought that you was hiring Pooh Shiesty to make, which you was for years, 6 years this contract's been in effect, we're just going to reverse time and say that never happened. As it relates to company's agreement, company hereby agrees to pass through to artist all approval rights, controls, and consultation rights granted to company pursuant to the Atlantic Agreement, collectively the approval rights. So you know when the Atlantic Records has to approve all your shit, and Pooh Shiesty's got an imprint under Atlantic and he signed you because Atlantic trusted him as an OG of the game to find good talent and work with new people and build up artists and make them successful. You now agree, Gucci Mane. Not only do you have to get us records and we can audit your accounts anytime you want, like with the goddamn IRS, but you also have to just let me deal with Atlantic. All right? Now, Atlantic probably gonna have something. Atlantic gonna say, why the fuck is this happening? We're a serious, legitimate business. You can't point a Draco at the Atlantic offices. They're gonna have a corporate offices. They probably got like a 20-story building handling all this business with real lawyers that would see through this. It's saying Pooh Shiesty and Chopper Gang, probably Pooh Shiesty's dad and Big 30, a bunch of Draco-toting lunatics. Atlantic going to deal with them directly. Okay, yeah, sure. All right. All such approval rights, including without limitation recording elements of the Atlantic recording agreement, shall be exercised by artists at artist's sole discretion. For avoidance of doubt, all business matters and decisions, including without limitation in connection with the negotiation of any amendments thereto, shall be exercised exclusively by artists. So they're saying, not only is the contract completely null and void, which I assume Atlantic is involved because we don't have the original contract, but now they have to deal with Pooh Shiesty directly. And he basically has a complete sole discretion as to what he approves with Atlantic. He's just, by Draco point, he is just taking complete control of everything. He's now dictating what Atlantic Records do. This isn't how, this is what I'm saying. This is the tantamount to what I was saying as far as like, I could sign a contract saying I own all of New York City, right? But I've got a contract with some guy. I've got a contract with some guy that works for the city of New York. So I wrote, upon a signing of this agreement, you don't have the authority to do this, sir. This is Atlantic business. Gucci Mane ain't the boss. I'm sorry, Gucci Mane is a legend, but he ain't the boss over there. He ain't calling the shots over at Atlantic. He a worker for Atlantic, all right? His imprint, he's in business with them, basically getting them a bag, getting himself a bag. That's a corporate entity. It all needs to go through Atlantic. And you thinking they're going to deal with Chopper Gang? They're going to deal with the Draco-toting lunatics? So, company hereby warrants and represents the company has the full right and power to enter in and fully perform this agreement. Yeah, by the threat of Draco. Company agrees to and does hereby indemnify, save and hold artist harmless and from any and all loss and damage, including reasonable attorney fees, arising out of or connected with any breach by company of any warranty, representation and or agreement made by the company herein. They're saying that Gucci Mane and his company, he agrees to basically not have any costs to Pooh Shiesty arising out of any breach by company of any work. So he's basically saying, I'm going to put all these ridiculous restrictions on you from since Earth was born, all right? All these things you would never sign up for that don't make sense. And I'm now dealing with Atlantic, who aren't even privy to this agreement. And if you don't stick to this agreement that makes no sense that you've agreed to by Draco Point, all right, you have to clean it up and pay for everything. And you have to protect the artist. They have to be harmless from any and all loss and damage. Nothing bad can ever happen to Pooh Shiesty. It all has to be on you. Why would you sign? What consideration is there to this contract? What is being offered in return for this? Nothing. This doesn't make any sense. This isn't how contracts work. This isn't how contracts are about you. Somebody gives it. It's like, I did very basic, like A-level law back in the day, okay? But it's like, for a contract to function, you have to offer something. Something has to be given in return. You're making an agreement. Nothing's being given in return here. What's Pooh Shiesty doing to keep his side of the agreement? How is this negotiated? And you can't say it's because of Draco being pointed at his head. The company agrees to reimburse artists on demand for any payment made by the artist at any time with respect to any claim or liability for any loss occurred in respect of which the artist is entitled to be indemnified. So they're basically saying, I have a blank check for life from Gucci Mane, and Gucci's company agrees to reimburse Pooh Shiesty for any payment made by any artist at any time, for any claim, for any loss. It's ridiculous. Following the full execution hereof, and subject to the terms hereof, artists shall have the right, should have been 2, ChatGPT didn't hit that one, right negotiate in its sole discretion with Atlantic Records or any other third party for the artist services. So he's saying that only I can negotiate, me personally, not my lawyer, not his counsel, Pooh Shiesty personally, from the feds, I assume, he can negotiate solely with Atlantic Records and anyone else or any other third party for anyone. Anyway, just forget about this. I've gotten rid of this contract, so I can negotiate with Atlantic Records on my own or anyone else. That's not how it works, bro. You're still locked in with Atlantic. It's the parties' intention in entering into this agreement that the same shall be effective as a full and final accord and satisfaction and release of each and every matter referred to herein. The parties further represent and warrant to each other that each is familiar with the provisions of California Civil Code 1542 and expressly waive and relinquish any and all rights and benefits that they may have had under this code to the fullest extent permitted by law. Such section states that a general release does not extend to claims that the creditor or releasing party does not know or suspect to exist in his or her favor at the time of executing the release, and that if known by him or her would have materially affected his or her settlement with the debtor or release party. I'm not entirely sure, but what I'm thinking this means is it's basically saying, I correct me if I'm wrong, any lawyers in the chat, yeah, but I'm thinking this is meaning it's basically saying this release that releases me from absolutely everything, it doesn't extend to claims that the creditor or releasing party doesn't know or suspect to exist in his or her favor at the time of executing release, and if known by him or her would have materially affected. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's basically saying if it turns out that the deal's sticking with Gucci had $10 million on the table for me next week, and I find out later on that actually I'd have been better off with 10M sticking with Gucci, right? This release doesn't extend to those claims. We're gonna have to negotiate that separately because I'm at Draco Point taking you out. But if it turns out that I'd have been better off sticking with you, we're gonna have to backtrack to that. That's what I think that means, but I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer. It says the parties acknowledge, represent, and warrant that each is consulted with legal counsel before executing this agreement, and they each understand its meaning, including the effect of the California Civil Code, and expressly consent this agreement shall be given full force and effect according to each and all of its express terms and provisions. It's all one sentence, including those related to release of unknown and unsuspected claims, demands, causes of actions, although nothing contained in this paragraph or elsewhere herein shall be deemed to make this agreement subject to California law. This is just a lie, right? The parties acknowledge they've consulted with legal counsel. Why isn't a lawyer notarizing this? Why isn't this being notarized? Have you signed a contract before, Pooh? Have you actually signed a real contract before? This needs to be notarized by somebody. If any provision of this agreement is be held invalid or illegal or unenforceable in any effect by a court of competent jurisdiction, the validity, legality, and enforceability of the remaining provisions shall not be affected. This is absolute nonsense doublespeak. If any of this agreement is held to be invalid, illegal, or unenforceable, what? Because you did it at Draco Point under duress. The remaining provisions shan't be affected. That's not how it works, bro. Here's what we're gonna. I can imagine Pooh Shiesty's dad saying maybe somebody had a couple brain cells in Chopper Gang and said wait, but what if they find out that Gucci Mane was made to do this at gunpoint and they invalidate the contract? And Pooh Shiesty Senior going, I got a genius idea. Let's ask ChatGPT to put in a provision saying that even if the agreement is held to be invalid or illegal or unenforceable, the parties still agree. They still agree, all right? They'll keep it. It just won't be impaired. They'll agree that any invalid, illegal, or unenforceable provision shall be deemed modified to the minimum extent necessary to make it valid and enforceable, and the agreement shall be enforced as so modified. So let's just say we live in a twilight zone and this is actually allowed to continue. The judge is going to see this and say, well, we're invalidating this contract because Pooh Shiesty held Gucci Mane at gunpoint and this was signed under duress. And then Pooh Shiesty Senior is going to say, well, actually, if you look at provision 10, and the judge is going to go, damn, we got to make the minimum extent necessary to make it valid and enforceable. I don't know. Let's just add a caveat. Let's just add a caveat where they legalize sticking people up at gunpoint to make them sign contracts. Let's just change the law. Like, there is no modification. There is nothing that allows you to do this, sir. It's like, this provision, this agreement says that I can commit murder and I can kill Gucci Mane for free, and it's mega lols, like, so funny if I just kill Gucci Mane. And after that, we're gonna have to modify. Well, what's the minimum modify? Well, we're gonna have to change the law to make murder legal because that's just. This is just absurd. So it says this agreement has been entered into the state of New York, and the validity, interpretation, and legal effect of this agreement will be governed by the state laws of New York, applicable to the contracts entered into and performed entirely within the state of New York with respect to the determination of any claim, dispute, disagreement which may arise out of the interpretation, performance, or breach of this agreement. Whole thing doesn't stand up. It says the agreement will be binding and ensure to the benefit of the parties hereto and their respective successors, permitted assignees, heirs, estates, administrators, and executors, embodies the sole and entire agreement of the parties in respect of and supersedes all prior oral written understandings between them. The subject matter hereof may not be cancelled, amended, discharged, or waived in whole or part except by written instruments signed by all parties. You cannot change this, right? Even a judge can't change this. It's nonsense. The agreement may be executed in counterparts by approved electronic signature including Adobe Signer delivered by Facsimile or PDF. Now, that part is a little bit unusual because I'm guessing you made him sign it on paper in ink. Now, I've got a little clip here, and basically, we don't know what Pooh Shiesty's original contract looked like, but the rumor has it, okay, according to other artists that were under Gucci's label, usually he was breaking off 100
racks. I signed for 100K. I had signed for 100K, nigga. I went dead broke, man.
That's the thing. Okay, explain this to me.
No, that's real.
No. Explain to me.
100K ain't no money. I'm a street nigga. Got 5 first-degree felonies, lawyer fees, a car. A nigga ain't never had none. You got, let's say, roughly 30,000 to play with, and you a young nigga ain't never had shit. Man, that money gonna be gone by next week. Shooting dice, drugging and thugging. It's just life, bro. Man, I ain't gonna sit here and stuck to you. I signed for 100K. I had signed for 100K, nigga.
So basically, right, his artists talking about they street dudes, they sign him for 100K and they just, you know, they need lawyers, they need lawyer fees, they just doing what it is. And so I signed for 100K and went dead broke. Well, Pooh Shiesty wasn't broke because they was actually having hit records and getting money together. But interestingly enough, Waka Flocka Flame would actually reveal that he had signed to Gucci for even less than 100K.
Did you always look at it like, fuck it, I don't even care about the contract, let me just sign it just so I can hustle?
I did that my first time with Gucci.
Okay.
My mother told me don't sign that contract.
So your mother read the contract?
I never signed to my mother, I signed to Gucci.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying, at first I used to be mad at him, like, man, this nigga signed me to a fucked up deal. But he didn't even know. I signed for $50,000. I had $1 million in my pocket already off doing shows.
Here's the thing, right? Everybody loves to sign shitty contracts then complain. But, like, you should have read that contract, bro. I just read a contract. Should have read it. I mean, nowadays you got ChatGPT, but ChatGPT be telling you what you want to hear. But a lot of people don't have the best thing to say about Gucci Mane. Okay, Lil Wop spoke about signing to Gucci, and he claimed that Gucci Mane didn't even give him his phone number after he did the deal.
Family, bro, I just hop on the internet without trying to reach the man and not trying to call the man. I tried to get the man number. The man did not want to give me his number, and that was that. Multiple times, folks. I ain't finna kiss no nigga ass. On Folding Gray, boy, on Blackstone, I'm not kissing no nigga ass, boy. That shit dead.
Check it up, and check it out now. Time to educate y'all on some music business. Now, if you guys don't know, man, Lil Wop. And by the way, it's so blasphemous to hear a nigga named Lil Wop diss a nigga named Goo Wop. Come on, that's your whole influence. He fathers your style. How dare you diss him? Anyway, He's mad that he feels like he's trapped in a contract through Gucci Mane and Alamo Records. Now, if you don't know, Gucci Mane has this record label called 1017 Eskimo, and pretty much it's going through his longtime business partner and friend, Todd Moskowitz, who runs the label called Alamo Records. Okay? Now, one of the artists he's signed to 1017 Eskimo is a guy named Lil Wop. Now, let me tell you what a JV is. JV basically is usually, I own half, you own half, or something around that percentage, 50-50, and we're going to try to go and get these artists and get them popping. Gucci, of course, uses influence. He's found many talent. He's finding people. He's co-signing them, probably doing a song with them, putting them around producers. He's doing what an artist who's a good A&R does. Okay, also he has a brand himself that he could probably help an artist, and then the label's going to do what the label does. Okay, paperwork, let's fund some shit. The label's, as I said, always a bank. Now, for that, Gucci, and by the way, all these artists are in 360, okay? 360 deals, which means when they make $1, that dollar got to get split among a bunch of people. And in reality, a lot of times these niggas be thinking they're making money when they're not making shit.
So, as academics kind of broke it down, okay, Gucci Mane be putting people in contracts that aren't easy to get out of. A lot of people aren't feeling it, but then again, a lot of people aren't talented enough to make these contracts work. Pooh Shiesty was talented enough. He had his shit running up. He was making millions. I don't know how Pooh Shiesty's out here talking about he was so hard done by, when if you watch the FDO music video, all it is like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 cars back to back to back to back, a bunch of ridiculously expensive jewelry. This guy was getting to the bag. But anyway, Rallo, on the other hand, shout out to Rallo, said he signed to Gucci for $250,000, and he actually had no problem getting out of his deal when he wanted to.
But when did it go sour? When were you like, you know what, I'm better off independent, like I fuck with Gucci, no bad feelings, but I'm not seeing no money. The business ain't right. I want to be free.
I don't think anything can really ever go sour with Gucci, because Gucci let me out the contract. He could have said, hell nah, Rollo. Nigga, you got my money, or you got the labor money, whatever the money came from, and then you stand in this contract. However, it was good, nigga, and he just let me out the contract. And I'm appreciative for it, so I can't even say nothing ever went sour, because we kept our friendship while I was out the contract with him. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, did you have to like buy your way out, or he just let you?
I bought my way out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna approach no real nigga, tell him let me out that contract for free.
Yeah.
The man done posted me on it, paid the man, like did all this type of shit for me, gave me verses and shit. I would've never went to no nigga with my hand out saying let me out the contract, like the rest of these niggas doing.
Yeah. Can you say the number, or you
I think it was more than the $250.
So you paid?
I paid more because you gotta think about it. Alamo had paid my lawyer fees. They had paid the nigga Jeffrey, the lawyer Jeffrey from New York. They had paid him, and he had charged us a lot of money. So I had to pay lawyer fees. I had to pay little promotion shit, all kinds of shit. So it just come with it.
So you just go back, get some street money, and bring it to him?
No, I actually had got some shows and shit, so I had some money in that account.
Okay.
So he's saying that, look, Gucci had him on a $250K contract, but then the record label had paid a bunch of his important things, his lawyer fees, and then he basically got his money back. However he got it back, how he got it back, and then he basically paid his way out of the contract. He didn't have a problem getting out of it, but not everyone getting money like Rallo. Now, interestingly, all right, Gucci Mane hurt people, and apparently he was having issues back with his label back in the 2000s, and according to reports, he had to get help from New York music executive and convicted mob boss Jimmy Henchman to get out of his deal.
Yeah, you might be right about that, man. And I know you and Jimmy Henchman, y'all got Gucci Mane out of his contract, right? I was looking at his autobiography, and he, brought up how Jimmy Henchman got him out of his contract.
Yeah. Gucci was with Big Cat. And Gucci was with Big Cat, and that was back then. Gucci was in Big Cat, and he was going through whatever feud he was with Jeezy, and Deb had started managing him. So Deb reached out to Jimmy Henchman, hey, I want to get Gucci Mane out this contract with Big Cat. So Jimmy called me. He called Snake, and he like, yo, what's up, man? I'm gonna need you in the South, man, to put some mans together. We're gonna try to talk to Big Cat and see what's going on. I'm about to call.
He did the exact same shit as Pooh Shiesty did. Oh my God, don't pull my leg, bro. He did he called around and said, yo, I need 630 robber gang goons to get me out of it. Hey, bro, Gucci Mane got Gucci Mane, bro. I can't really have that much sympathy for him after I heard that. What the
the South, man, put some mans together. Yo, what's up, man? I'm gonna need you in the South, man, to put some mans together. We're gonna try to talk to Big Cat and see what's going on. I'm about to call him and let him know I manage Gucci Mane right now. So the way things are going, Gucci mad, Big Cat just dropping albums when he won't. Gucci want his album out. Hard to Kill, he ain't trying to hear. Big Cat on whatever he going at. Big Cat is a real reputable person, you know what I'm saying? He doing his music industry aspect, he pushing out CDs and everything. Everything copacetic now, you know what I'm saying? And you know, he got Rashida, he got a bunch of people over there though. Big Cat was doing his thing, and Gucci flew out to New York. 25th, we in Jimmy office, I'm with Gucci. And he laying down records. 745 with the Gucci interior. I see a real nigga when I look in the mirror. He laying down records. Club 4040 right across the street. I'm at 4040 looking for Sean Cowdy. I love the beef. Can't wait to see he going. Me personally, I'm not believing in him. Jimmy is saying, yo, why don't you manage this dude? He acting retarded. He's like Kodak Black. I never thought he could really be a godfather in his own little rights, making the rules as he go. But he screaming on saying he want out of Big Cat. So, you know, he coming down to Miami. He come to Miami. I'm trying to chill with him on South Beach. He want to go to the hood after hours, 4 or 5 in the morning. And like I said, he was acting a little retarded, you know? I got to say, hey, Deb, what's going on with this dude, man? I got to go. I might tell him to chill with my homeboy, God bless their Toro. They go chill, but I'm going here, man. I'm like, man, but he's under my care. Yeah, but yeah, that's why I say that, because he just doing crazy shit. I'm like, oh, let me go see where they at, man. I go down there to the hood, and you know what I'm saying, Gucci might be on some, I finally get him out the club, in the car. He might be playing with the lock. And open the door, man. Man, what is you doing? About to be ticked off. You know, he on everything there is. He cooling. It's like he trying to get killed. He is walking. He walking the mud like never before. But like I said, Snake is fucking with Guwap. He dealing with a lot of that shit. You know, my man Bryce Wilson, like, making sure the contract is good. Big Cat anyway, agree.
So got him out that contract, all right? So look, it's a very, very unfortunate situation. I think Pooh Shiesty really shot himself in the foot with this. It's just incredibly dumb. But, you know, it is what it is, man. Like, he trying to be Suge Knight of the new generation, and look where Suge Knight is, bro. He's in jail, rotting away. So he kind of got what he came for, really. But, yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of the contract. It's absolute gobbledygook. I don't think this guy has a clue. I don't know if this Pooh Shiesty's ever even considered speaking to a lawyer about this situation. A civil lawyer, a contract lawyer, not a criminal defense lawyer. I'm sure he's familiar with those. But anyway, all right, that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out for now. Peace.